see the announcement of our other Nedbank Cup 2023 ambassador. He is the son of the soil who has made a very welcome return to Mzansi South African shores. He has traversed the deserts of Saudi Arabia, Ismailia and Giza, and of course one of the most decorated coaches and managers in South Africa, on the continent, and rightfully so in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, our Nedbank Cup 2023 ambassador, who could have actually been an accountant, a Pantsula dancer, but he decided, of course, to entertain us week in, week out when it comes through to the Nedbank Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome, of course, for our ad that we've been talking about that I think you'll all enjoy. So, do enjoy. Those Pantsula dance moves. Hopefully you can shimmy your way up on stage this time around. Ladies and gentlemen, a very, very warm return and welcome to Coach Pitso Mosimane. And of course, we'll also be joined by Kensi Nobanda yet again, and of course, Mutsa Chironga from Nedbank. They can also get a warm round of applause. Well, first off, I'm going to start with the man of the moment, the protagonist, Coach Pitso Mosimane, our Nedbank Cup 2023 ambassador. Coach, being part of the Nedbank Cup 2023 campaign and seeing how great Nedbank has been and being an ambassador, what are your feelings around being part of this campaign?
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thanks, Thato. I'm humbled first by the ambassadors when they were here and what they were speaking about. I think we have the true ambassadors who have traveled, who've been around the football space, but also who have done very well with their finances. And because I've been their coaches, the only guy I haven't coached was Ika Stanton Fredericks. But all of them have been their coaches. I've supported them, I've signed them myself. And when I see where they are now, for me, that's more important than winning trophies. It's more important to support and build people. As I always say in football, that you first coach the human being before you coach football. And they've done very well. And some of the stories that they're saying, they remind me of our days when I was fighting with them about how to look after their finances. I remember fighting Dane Clay to say, you're not going to sleep in the car, you're going to buy the house first. And was proud of Tiko also when he went back to his home in Soweto. And I spoke to him, I said, that's a very good thing. You need to fix the home first, your parents' home before yours. And he did that, and I'm proud of them. And we can talk about them playing football, but I know them differently outside football. And those are very, very life-changing stories, and they give me good memories from that time. So, Thato, let's get back to you. So, what was your question?
You know, Coach, it's so wonderful to see in hindsight the impact that you've made in these footballers' lives, and hopefully you can also give Stiga some financial advice. But the small decisions that you have made in your life, that could be small or big, but the game-changing decisions that have gotten you to where you are today, what are those decisions that were key to where you are today?
Well, we have made many decisions because in life we progress, we transform. But I think for me, the most important decision I've made is when I first went overseas to play football. The money that I earned my first year, I came back home and helped my father, and the DJ is in the mood of it.
Reminiscence.
So is to pay off all the properties that we did. You know, I had a smart father who call themselves made entrepreneurs in the township. He was brave, he took a bond on properties, and he worked towards that. So first decision, financial decision I've made is when I went overseas, all the money that I had in my first year, we paid off all the properties and make sure that they don't owe the bond or anything. We paid everything off, and they lived properly after, debt-free. So all they had is to look after themselves. So that was a very, very big, small decision, big decision that I think I did. And I never had anything at that time, but I gave everything for them because I wanted a home back. Also, when I go home, I must have a decent home. So when I look back now in Soweto, I say, what a good decision that we've made. And unfortunately, they're no longer around, but they lived comfortably.
Living comfortably also under the green banner of the Nedbank Cup. Coach Pitso Mosimane, you're now 2023 ambassador, but a Nedbank Cup winner yourself. What does Nedbank mean to you? I mean, obviously we know that you're a Nedbank account holder, but what does Nedbank mean to you, especially because it is that story of David versus Goliath. And it's not only a story of David versus Goliath because we see the small teams. They really come and perform against the big teams in the PSL. They really come and make their names. But what does Nedbank Cup mean to you?
Yeah, when I was young, I played in the same format, Cup of Nedbank. You know, the Cup, the FA Cup, I should call it. It's always there. It changes because of the sponsors' names or whatever, but the format has always been around. So I was also spotted in the same competitions as it is. I was spotted by Jomo Sona and Skrima Chabalala. I played in a game against Orlando Pirates, and Jomo Sona was playing for Orlando Pirates. And on the pitch, he spoke to me and he told me, I'm going to bring you to my team. I'm going to buy a team. So, you know, it means so much for me because I was playing amateur football and I waited for those big games. I played against Pirates, I played against Kaizer Chiefs. In the same, the Maloti stories, my Power Lines, Dondolo, I've been through it. So I got the opportunity to play against big teams through the Cup of Nedbank Cup. So it has given me so much. I spotted takeoff from the Nedbank Cup. They played Kaizer Chiefs, and after that match, I took him direct to come to SuperSport United. So, Nedbank Cup is a cup of dreams. It's opportunities for teams. That's why we speak in these names, the Barokas and all that. So, Maluti's unbelievable story, that one. So, that's the beauty of the cup. It gives opportunities to players, managers, team owners, communities. If there's a team in the township or wherever, and they have a Nedbank Cup, you see them at the stadium. So it recruits different kind of people to come to the stadium. A different kind, there's always a new story, don't know. So the people who come from that area, they know those players, they come. But that's the beauty of Nedbank Cup. It recruits, there's new stories every year. There's a story that we can take, and players are being signed from there. So that's the beauty of Nedbank Cup. It gives everybody an opportunity to play.
Thank you so much, Coach. As you're saying that, I'm thinking about, that's why it's rightfully called Kiyona, because it is the one that you need to play in. Kensani, I'm going to come through to you then from Nedbank's side. The decision to bring in Coach Pitso Mosimane as the Nedbank Cup 2023 ambassador. Take us through that journey and how it came about for us to be here today.
Thank you. So firstly, the ad that played didn't have the sound. So when you see the proper ad with Pitso talking about the choices that he almost made and stuff, it's even better. I can already tell you enjoyed it, which is great. But I hope the team can queue up the ad at the end to play, to be honest. So I think firstly, why did we choose Coach Pitso? The one thing is, for me, excellence. So what Coach Pitso represents in a lot of ways is excellence, having won not just the Nedbank Cup, but having won on the continent. And for me, South African excellence, where you go and do the same sort of achievement outside of your own country. So for me, that's the first thing he represents is excellence. The second thing is the financial conversation. I mean, to hear the players that were here, Deco, speaking about just how he has helped them. So how we found out about that was about 3-4 years ago. We had a couple of players, we had a similar session, and 1 or 2 players actually said, Coach Pitso, you didn't want to be in the, he would give you all this advice about money and all of that. And we realized that actually, the focus that we have as a bank in terms of how do you use your money, how do you manage better, he's always been sort of that and an ambassador, to do that. I think the last reason for me is about giving people their flowers. So this was an interesting conversation. So it's obviously when a brand chooses you to be an ambassador, they're saying something to you as well. They're saying you've done really well and you've represented us. When I called Chairman Ivan Koza to tell him that, we're thinking of using Coach Pitso as our ambassador, he said, because he calls me Madame, he said, Madame, great idea. He was like, it is so nice to give people their flowers, because you end up doing it later when it's too late and they don't know. So we actually wanted, in a way, to say to you, Coach, that as a brand, we recognize just the work that you've done, the success that you've achieved. And maybe the last point actually I want to say is, in our conversations with Pitso and his team, the thing that also stood out for us was his focus and commitment to the society, to South African society. So part of what we're going to be doing with him, as you know, the winner of the Nedbank Cup, we allowed them to build a multi-purpose sports court in a school of their choice. Those sports courts are worth about 2 million rand. For kids, you can play football, volleyball, netball. I mean, they're really great in terms of development of young kids. And they generally get put up in schools that don't have the resources that some other schools have. So we will be partnering with the coach to be able to put 2 of those multi-purpose sports courts. And I think for me, when you work with someone who then thinks about not just themselves around their own success, but also says, how can we make an impact together in South Africa? So that's how we chose it.
Absolutely fantastic.
Kensi, I do know that there was a question from a member of the media who asked the decision not only to have Coach Pitso Mosimane as ambassador, but the decision to also have Stiga, Sipiwe, Dane, and Tego come be your ambassadors yet again. Of course, they've been working wonderfully with the brand, and you continue to work with them.
Yeah, again, I mean, when you listen to their stories, you can tell. I love the word that they use around respecting money, because I actually think that's the fundamental thing. I mean, I'll give you some really scary stats. There's only 10% of South Africans who have enough ready for their retirement. 10%. That means 90% of people in this room right now cannot retire comfortably. That's a very scary stat. I mean, the second thing I love when Shaba talks about when he started thinking about retirement even though he just started. I'll tell you why it's important. We know that when you start saving at 25 years old, you only need to save 15% of your salary to be able to retire comfortably. When you start at 45 years old, you have to save 47% of your salary to retire comfortably. So for me, like, these guys have shown that they've not only made the right decisions, they've also made wrong decisions, but they've grown from them. And I think that's very important. They openly tell their stories. I think sometimes as, South Africans, we talk as a brand about, you need to face your money. I think sometimes we had a campaign called It's Time to Talk About the Hardest Thing to Talk About, Money. And these guys are very willing to share their journeys and what they've done. And then I think the last thing is we work with brand ambassadors across various campaigns. They show up, and I think that's very important, and I really want to thank them for that, because it's important for us as a brand to work with people who take this seriously the way we do, and they constantly show up.
Thank you, Kensi. I will say that we do have a bit of technical glitches here today, so we will be sharing the mic. We do apologize for the aesthetics. Mutsa, coming to you. Today we're obviously here to launch the Nedbank Cup 2023 ambassadors. But it's also about those money decisions that we make, and especially coming to the consumer. What better money choices can we as the public make to make sure we're able to enjoy the Nedbank Cup and not be broke at the end of the day?
Thank you. And yeah, just to build and to say, very excited to have you as our brand ambassador, Coach Pitso, to Simpiwe, Stiga, Dane, and Teko. I think very excited to have you guys as our brand ambassadors. Thank you very much. So I think on money choices, really like three areas that I'd say are important money choices to your question. I think there's one around spending wisely, one around saving regularly, and one around borrowing responsibly. Okay, so I'll just say a little bit about each of those. So spending wisely, we all spend. What we advise, a choice we ask people to make is to take your income and spend 50% of it on the things that you need, so food, rent, etc. 30% on things that you want, like maybe takeaways, eating out, coming to Comca, whatever the things that you want. Or save, and the last 20% on saving. Okay, so that's 50, 30, 20. And that's a good money choice. And when you do spend, also, it is important to reward yourself. So we heard people talking about that. I personally like to go on holidays, so so my 30% is a lot about holidays. But I'm careful that I spend on a card where I'm going to earn rewards, and I spend on the Nedbank Amex card. I get 1% cash back in my pocket when I buy those flights, when I buy those hotel tickets. So also spend in a way that you are getting discounts and benefits in how you spend. So spend wisely, the first one. Secondly, save regularly. Okay, so we all need to save, I guess, to have a backup fund. We also all need to save maybe for things that are like a year away. So school fees next January, I'm already saving for those. The holiday in December I'm going to take, already saving for those. And then also saving for retirement, to Kensi's point, things that are on a much longer horizon. How do you save and invest for those things? So having monthly debit orders that service all those different types of savings. And then borrowing responsibly, which I think is a lot about a choice to be restrained. So I didn't own a car for many years, even though I could afford one. And when I finally owned a car, it was a second-hand, relatively beat-up one. I wanted to make sure the choice I made was to put down half of the money for the car as a deposit, and drove that for a while. All my friends were getting fancy cars. Only more recently have I gotten, bigger and better cars. So I think just the restraint and that waiting, and when you borrow, to maybe put a healthy deposit down towards whatever it is that you're borrowing towards. I'd say those are some of the money choices that we would encourage. Thank you.
I did have another question for you, Mutsa, especially when you mentioned that money is complex. I think I know that money is complex. I cannot manage my money to save my life. But when it comes to I cannot manage my money. But as a consumer and as a future customer, what would you say to encourage me to join the big green machine, Nedbank? And what is it that Nedbank is offering consumers like myself who really do see money as a complex issue and complex matter?
Hello?
There we go. Thank you so much, Mutsa.
Thank you. Yeah, so Nedbank, we believe firmly, is the bank that's best for your money. First of all, if you look currently, we're offering up to 13% on savings, okay, which is a market-leading rate. So it's a great place if you're somebody who wants to grow your money. We're a great place to save. Secondly, we are very focused on delivering value back to clients. So you'll see things like 1% cash back on Amex spend, 0.5%, so 50% off new metro tickets, 50% off if your spouse wants to bank at Nedbank. So we're constantly offering value, so it's a great place to bank from that perspective. I think the main reason I would say we're the best place for your money is not because we say so, but because our clients say so. So Nedbank recently was voted #1 in client experience in South Africa, among the banks in South Africa. And how do we get that accolade? It's because we asked a random survey of South Africans, which bank would you recommend if you were to recommend a bank in South Africa? And more people said they'd recommend Nedbank than any other bank. So we're #1, according to the clients out there. So that's 3 reasons why we think we're the best place for your money.
Well, definitely happy about that answer. Thank you so much, Mutsa. You can give the mic to Coach Pitso Mosimane, because, Coach, I'd like to find out what well, in South Africa we now call it philosophy, but philosophy is when it comes to money and making good money decisions. What is your philosophy with that?
Yeah, it's a tough question, Thato, but to a football person. Yeah, I work on principles, the way you've been highlighting them. I think the first principle is to make sure that I care more about my home more than anything, for my family and my children to live well and comfortable. So for me, and that's what I always told the players, I'm just taken aback because they are revealing some of the things that I forgot about. For me, is to make sure that, especially in football, players, is to have a home, because you need to have a home, and a decent home, because you can't sleep in a car. You cannot have a better car than so you need to spend. I believe that you need to first make sure that you look after your home, because that's where you spend most of your time. You know, a car is important. It's nice to have the toys, which I don't have, to be honest. But what's important is the car is a facilitator. It's a transport. It's a mode of transport. You choose according to the way you earn which one you're going to buy. But at the end of the day, we'll arrive at Conca. No matter what you drive, whatever drive, we arrive here. So that's more important, you know. So is first to look after your home, to look after your children's education, and your also self-empowerment. You need to make sure that, because when you empower yourself, you get a better job, you can make more money. So that's more important for me. And also, I like to eat the right way. That's important. So I really make sure that the grocery is a proper way, because what you put in your body is your life. Because if you don't put the right stuff in your body, you're gonna spend it at the doctors and the chemist and all that. So those are the 3 most important things for me. And the rest are just not really for me so important. Okay, we like to look good. I wish I can look as good as Teko as always. But thanks to Kensi, I'm wearing a suit today. I'm always on tracksuits. So those are the most important things that you need to have. And of course, you have to save, because you need money. Anything can happen, things happen, you need to save money. And also, my holidays, I really make sure that we have proper holidays as a family. They just came from the Grand Prix now in Formula 1. So those are the things, for me, they mean a lot more than having a good toy that you can move around with, So those are the things.
Well noted, I will take notes. Well noted, Coach. Those are things that I'm going to go home today and say, yeah, these are the philosophies of Coach Pitso Mosimane, and we're doing them noma kanjani. Finally, Kensi, from you, the Nedbank Cup 2023 obviously has been fantastic so far. We're at the halfway stage, quarterfinals, it continues. We've just announced our ambassadors today. What more can we expect, girls of course, can we expect from the rest of the campaign as it continues?
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot around the guys sharing their stories and trying to give tips around, how can you make those small decisions that will be able to change your life. How can you start today to be able to change your life? We are showcasing a number of products as part of the campaign. So we've got family banking, for example, where as your spouse, if you bring your spouse to Nedbank, your spouse gets 50% discount in terms of fees. So we've actually got products that, as much as we have ambassadors who speak about managing your money better and all of that, we actually need to make sure as a bank that we come to the party with products that help you to do that. So, Mutsa spoke about one of our savings products. We've also got a Just Invest product, which from an interest perspective, you get 4%, but you can get the money in 2 months, when you need it. Because I think sometimes that for people, it's very scary to save, because you think, I won't have access to that money when I need it and stuff. So we've got products that allow you to be able to do that. And we're going to be showcasing them, because I think as a brand, we would be disingenuous if we spoke about helping you manage your money better, and then we didn't have the right products to be able to do that. And then, I don't know about you, I always look forward to the Nedbank Cup final. I think we put on a spectacular show. I think, my team does a fantastic job with that. So we can't wait to see who's going to be in the final. We will announce after the quarterfinals where exactly it's going to be. There are some budging here and there between premiers that we have to basically work with. But wherever it's going to be, I think it's going to be great. I would love to see one of the smaller teams. I mean, my favorite moment actually in the Nedbank Cup was handing over the trophy to TS Galaxy, like a team that just came from Norway and won the Nedbank Cup. So you never know, this year could be the same as well.
Very wonderful moment, especially because we were at TS Galaxy's home and the fans were there. Absolutely fantastic. Well, we do apologize for the technical difficulties we have had, gremlins in our system a bit, but this is also an opportunity for the members of the media to have their questions for the second panel. So the same as the first panel, put your hand up, the microphones will come around, and say your name and institution and who you'd like to pose a question to.
Doom from Soweto Life Magazine Line. The Nedbank would like to thank you for giving us an opportunity to be able to have such a great man, Mosimane, and ask him questions, you know, and use this space actually to find out more about what the players have said. Coach, I've realized that you love family. At what point these young players will you advise them to get married? Because the fast life and furious life that they live before marriage, I think it won't help the cause of saving money. What will you say about this marriage life? Because I know that you are very disciplined, and the excellence and all the things that the bank has identified in you, I think it's also stimulated by the effect of your lifestyle. Thank you.
Are you sure I'm the right guy to answer that question? I don't know. I don't think there's a positive and challenges also in marriages, not any marriage, any relationship. If you share a common vision on saving money, it's easier. It's always a challenge when you don't have a common vision. Okay? And that's where Kensi comes in with Nedbank. You can talk to the people and talk to the families of how to do their things. Because sometimes I might see different and my wife can see different. So that's why we have the banks. Nedbank is there. Marriage, and now I've been spending my last 2.5 years in the Middle East. And life is totally different than at home. In the Middle East, we have football players getting married at 21, at 22, 21, even 19. Is the culture, is the environment, is the way it is. And they understand it and they deal with it. And there's never a problem. I'm not saying it's always good. Of course, there are challenges anywhere in the world, in any relationships. So I don't know if time is the right thing we can talk about when to get married and when not to get married. Because I think it's up to the relationship, up to the understanding, up to the people involved. And as long as there's love, there's no problem. I think that's the most important thing. So you can get married anytime, as long as you know how you can deal with it. So it's never too early, never too late. I don't know if I've answered you.
Good morning, everyone. Coach Pitso, this is Bongani here from Thato FM in the bar. Let me start by thanking Nedbank for the opportunity to be here. Coach Pitso, my question would be for the youngsters. I hear you making examples of your Dekomodises and Simpwe Chabala. Talking about the youngsters, I would say, for example, Pesitao is someone that you maybe develop. What are the advices that you give to youngsters, people who are maybe new to the game and under the age of those of Dekomodise and your Simpwe Chabalas? Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, well, as I said, you coach a human being first before a football player. Because if you get the human being right, you'll get the football player, because he's a talented person. So that he has. But the other stuff, they always say that it takes more than talent to be good. And I think, a lot of players are talented, and across the world in any sports, talent alone is not enough. So you need more than that. So I only use the same principles for Dane Clayt. I remember signing at 17 or 18. Sports School of Excellence. He was doing matric at that time. Yeah, and look where he is, look how he has carried himself. I'm proud to be associated with that, because he's also got his stories about me. Same as Tico, you know, you can go on. But I only use one principle, that you need to look after these boys, because they're human beings and they're youngsters. So then the football will always come out of the draft. All these young players in my football career, a lot, from Pesitao, Madisha, late Madisha, Dane Clay, Tico. You can go on. You can go on and on. The main important thing is you must never forget that they are human beings. Tapero, Morena and all that. So I make sure that we get important things out of the way first. And the most important thing is to know their families and to visit their families. I go inside their families. Even in Saudi, I go into families now. Because, especially for the younger ones, I meet their fathers and all that. Because what's important is to get you need to win the person. The person must know you're winning as a coach, and doesn't see you as a coach. You must see you as a brother, as a friend, as a father, as a guardian. And because they are already talented, that's what you're gonna get. You know, how many kids we know at schools that they are A students, but they've never made it in life? It's because we don't deal with the human side. And that's what how football great is. Football sometimes it does things that corporates don't do. In corporate, you bring your certificate, you get a job, this is what you must do, that's it. They don't care about what you do with your money, they don't. They want you to do, they pay you for what you're doing. But in football, we don't only develop the technical skills and deal with the football player. We deal with the human being. And I don't know, I've never worked in corporate, but I've never heard anybody saying to me that we have a lesson or a sitting all about how we need to behave, how to carry yourself, how to look after your money after that. Oh, I don't know. But you do? Okay, congratulations. Okay, but yeah, in football we deal more with the human being than the game itself. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Kosnati Shazi from Power FM News. Coach Pitso, I just have a question for you. You spoke about how the Nedbank Cup helped you find the likes of Thato Moeng. Thato Moeng himself spoke about the Nedbank Kiona initiative, where a number of unearthed South African talent got the opportunity on the national forefront to display their talents. Growing up, I remember there was the non-champions, Coca-Cola champs at school level, you know. So my question for you as an outsider looking in, how do we improve the level of football here in South Africa? I mean, you've worked in North Africa with the Al Ahly, of course. Morocco also reached the semi-finals of the World Cup. You are now in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia shocked the Argentina back in the World Cup last year. So as an outsider looking in, how does South Africa improve the standard of football? Because I always see ourselves as a sleeping giant. We lost a continental competition club level, 2016. We lost one AFCON in 1995, if I'm not mistaken. And we last qualified for a World Cup in 2010 because we were host. So yeah, that's my question. So how do we improve the standard of football?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that we miss is to develop talent. You need to develop talent. And where do you develop talent? You start at the schools. That's where you start, because all the children are at school. That's why I started also my program of Pitso Mosimane soccer schools. Because you need to start them at the schools. And not all the children play for clubs. but everybody's at school. So if we start them early at school, we have an opportunity. I get amazed on the feedback, the number of children in the programs that I am is amazing. Children love football. So, and the girls are unbelievable. So if you go on the program, you check my programs, it's unbelievable to see so many children playing football and wants to play football. And it's not all about producing talented players. It's also about self-esteem, confidence, and you know, when a child is in sports, is competing, he is able to stand for himself. He feels good, he feels confident, he understands failure, he understands that today you're not winning, tomorrow you can win. So you have a child that grows up understanding that you cannot have everything, because children sometimes think they can have everything anytime they want. So you bring personalities and you see your child competing, and it doesn't have to be a top talent, but you see your child competing. It's amazing. It's a different feeling. So they start to understand how life is. So that's where sports is important in children. So South African football needs to invest in sports and at schools. And what we are talking about, we're talking about tournaments, the Danone, the what. Those are tournaments. How many children play in those? How many are excluded? So we need to, there are late developers in football. I was one of the late developers in football. As a youngster, I was never that very good. But as time came up, I became better, you know. So football in the schools, programs, coach, education, very, very, very important. Then we can produce top talent that can go and play at the highest level. So our football, we need to take players out of the country, play in Europe, play even in North Africa is good. The Gulf is good. The competition is good, is top, is tough, is bigger than PSL. So you might look at it different. And we need to take a lot of youngsters to go play outside the country. If we don't have that, it's not very easy for us to manage with the local talent that is only here. We need them overseas. We need them to play FA Cup. We need them to play Champions League. We need them to play Conference Cup. We need them out. We need them outside, because sometimes we hang on them too long. We keep them here because we want our teams to win, and we are happy when our team wins. But we forget that they need to play at a high level, and we forget also that they don't get the financials that they can get outside. We forget that. We give them what we can get here, and it's market related. I'm not saying it's wrong, but players need to go outside. I admire players like Tulane Serrero, making a good living out of his career. Pesitao, unbelievable, you know. So I believe, look at the boy now wants to Lal Foster. It's unbelievable. Stephen Pinar, Benny McCarthy, you know, I mean, Benny was a top talent that we had. Stephen Pinar, and they're still plying their trade overseas. And what role models, top role models that our players must look up to. So we need to create role models here, you know, but we need to support them. But I think the Football Federation is, yesterday I spent time with the president of the Football Federation just to talk. And I went to the under-23s because one of David Notwan is the coach there, and David, I brought him to Mamelodi Sundowns. And also I coached him. He was my player at SuperSport United. So just to speak to those boys, the younger ones, to say, hey, there's more. There is more than PSL. You can make good career, you can play the highest level, and you can make more money, you can change your family lives. Sometimes we hold to them too long here, and we want to see them play for our clubs here, winning. But look at the Pitso Dada, look at the Senegalese team. They're all internationals, you know. So I think that's what we need to develop our football. Coach education, children must play, start at the schools. And it's not only about tournaments, because tournaments are for the chosen few. What about the late developers? What about those who don't get a chance to play for a club at the weekends? And it's not easy for us, for children, to be moving around and going to play somewhere. Is the transport there? Is it safe? Where are they going? You know, our system in the country is not that easy, that you don't know where your child is and then you can go around and go play somewhere. If there's programs around the area you stay in, where they're going to train, where they're going to play, we need to support them. So we need a lot to do, and we can talk the whole day about the football development in South Africa.
Yeah, thank you, Coach. My name is Sizwe Kwam from Waya Waya Magazine. Coach, you are dearly loved in Soweto. There's even a big picture is now of you. I would see grown men with kids going to that picture. Others are even lying that they've been playing with you for years. So when an old man lies for no reason, you should know that you're a legend. So here's my question. In Zulu they say, ingane ngakopi ifele deske. You've traveled in Africa, you've played against the best, and you are the best. I'm sure you have copied or seen things that they are doing in Egypt or in other countries that Tina as South Africans are not doing. What have you copied maybe from them that we can start implementing, or what are they doing that we are not doing, that we are supposed to do? Maybe we should hire a minister of Bafana Bafana like we have the minister of electricity. I don't know, but from your opinion. My second question is to Nedbank. Growing up, I used to hear people say that Nedbank is a bank in Gamba. Even now, there's even that myth. When you say I bank with Nedbank, they say, hey, we in Gamba, we're Nantuana. Even if you can go during Sasa days, the ATMs, the Nedbank are empty and the others are packed. So I want you to dispel a myth. Which Nedbank is for the people. Just tell people what you are here for the Sowetans, you are not for Ingamba. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to you, but I don't know if I'm the right person. I don't want to be sounding controversial because I have my own opinion. I think you know me. So when it comes to our football in the country, there's a lot that needs to change, and also players must get the education of what's happening outside and what's happening here at home. And some of the things that I know and I see, and I can't say a lot because it's a little bit controversial and I'll be in trouble with the football people, you know. With no man just say, so I'm a player, it's easy, don't baham the man, you know. So South African players don't know how good they are, and they don't know what they are worth. They don't know. They are worth more. And even coaches, you know, and maybe I speak from a different position now, but I also didn't know that a South African coach can contribute outside and being remunerated with the value of what you do. Because sometimes I was told, no, you can't earn this money. There's no money like this for you. There's money. No, you're asking for more. And then I found people who say, no, we can give you more than that. You know, so it's an eye-opener, and the players don't know. If the players know that they can earn more and play better competitions also, which is going to be good for Bafana Bafana also. It's important that, but I don't know, South African players don't know that they can earn more money and can be millionaires. You know, they are focused here. They, you know, work clubs. But I don't blame them because there is no information. that can be passed to them. Or sometimes, as Shaba was saying here, that sometimes we are told but we don't listen. You know? So I'm the wrong guy to talk. Sometimes I just look at some of the players and say, wow, this boy is such a good football player. Does he know how much he can earn and change his family lives and change his then no, so you know, you tell them things that are not right. But it's so sad, even with the coaches. It's so sad. I've seen coaches outside that don't give the value of what our coaches do here can give. And we settle for what we have because sometimes we're afraid to jump. You know, I'm the guy who jumps. I jump all the time. I get bored quickly. When I do something repeatedly, no, I get bored. I move, I jump. You know the story. So I don't like to be in the same space and do the same thing every day and again and be counted for you have won this, you have won this. No, go to another place. I'm in the first division now. Everybody says, you're in comfort zone with Mamelodi Sundowns. They forgot that I got Dane Page from Sports School of Excellence, right to play. I got takeoff from Polokwane, right to play. You know, when I started SuperSport United, I didn't have the budget. And I signed young players and they made my life my career. So it's not all about the money that people talk about. Now I'm in the first division, not in the Premier League. Here we go.
Coach Barre Khotamaya Kukhobon. And that's exactly what you've elaborated. Kensi, your question about Nedbank from the...
Yeah, and before I go there, I actually want to underline what the coach is saying around global or international experience. Even outside of football, I've seen it in many careers for people who, when they go work outside, one, it changes the value of their own sort of value, but it also, when they come back here, the impact it makes on South Africa is fantastic. But let's talk about Nedbank. So I think firstly, we are exceedingly clear as a bank that we're a bank for all. That's not even a question mark that we have. So if you look at our consumer segments that we target all the way from what we call entry-level banking, which is people who are coming into the financial system, all the way to corporate organizations. So we're very clear. And I think, for me, you should judge us by what we do, right? The fact that we sponsor football should already tell you that we are a bank for all, because as a passion point in this country, football is obviously mostly for black people. That's the passion point that they have. And it is why we committed ourselves to football a very long time ago. It is the same with running. I was in Gqeberha maybe about 3-4 weeks ago. We had I was with you, Yes. And we had a race where we were challenging the 50-kilometer World Cup record, basically, to say who can beat it. And the guys who beat it are guys who come, like, Boteko, Bostiga, we're talking about, like, they come from, poor backgrounds. It's the same in running. You see a guy who's actually a security guard, in PE, and he breaks this 50-kilometer race. He gets 450,000 Rand. It completely changes his family, his life, and what he's about. So I think you should judge us on actually what we do versus maybe some of the things that people say. You even look at the products that we have. We have products, as I said, right from people who are coming into banking. We've just launched PayShop now, and PayShop is basically a product where you can pay in, you can use your cell phone almost as a proxy for your bank account from one bank to the other. We've got actually the cheapest pricing for PayShop in the market, and we've got a number of accounts that are like that. We've got things like YouthX. For us, YouthX was basically looking at unemployment in South Africa, where we said, actually, if the trajectory of this country must change, the biggest impact is around youth unemployment. How do we make an impact to change youth unemployment? And that's how we started something like YouthX, where we allow young people to interact with each other in order to be able to achieve their potential. But at the end of the day, there's a couple of winners who come out. There's a young lady called Keitume Tsipule who won the first YouthX. She has an app where she's democratizing legal advice, because she feels like, why don't black people, why aren't they able to afford legal advice? So she's democratizing it on an app. And we basically are funding that app. So that's all I can say to you is I think judge us on how we actually show up. When we finish there.
Well, thank you so much, Kensi, for elaborating that for us. And we definitely cannot wait for Nedbank to let us know exactly where we'll be going for the Nedbank Cup 2023 final. But before we get to the final, of course, we have to deal with the matter of the quarterfinals, the semis, and of course, getting to the much anticipated final and see who gets to go and traverse the continent and represent South Africa. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Members of the media, you will have opportunities for one-on-ones. A big thank you to Mutsa Chironga from Nedbank and Kensi Nobanda, our ambassadors for the 2023 campaign. That is Sipiwe Chabalala, Dane Clayt, Stanton Frederick, Stego Modise, and of course, Coach Pitso Mosimane, who we want to remind you again, has made the small decision to not be an accountant, a taxi driver, or perhaps join Casper Nyovest on the stage, but has decided to be an astute coach. He is our Nedbank Cup 2023 ambassador. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Pitso Mosimane.